Good morning, everybody. First of all, thank you so much for joining us and taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and have a look and see and get a feel of what we can offer and how we can add value to your business and be there with you as a team to continuously grow your business with the right solution for your business. I think we've got a jam-packed session today, and we're going to focus on the current system being Partner, the comparisons to what we used to call the old Sage evolution, Sage 200 evolution now, and then ultimately we're going to end that off and have a look at how that all fits into the cloud and how we can assist you in the new buzzword in the system being our cloud offerings. You can move on, yeah. So as I said, the reason that we're having this session today is there are many a solution out there. And I think that the trick is to find the right solution for your business. And that's what we want to share with you today, with what we've got to offer, and have a look at the functionality, have a look at what a system can do to actually enhance business processes and get information out and make life easier in a business. Ultimately, time is money, and we want to help you to work harder, to work smarter, and not harder at the end of the day. So I'm not going to get into a lot of detail now. I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Helen. Helen is going to take us through the first session of the day, and I'll be covering the next sessions. If we have a quick look at the agenda, we're going to do a session on our in-depth dive and comparison of Pastel Partner versus Evolution. We'll have a look at what I like to call one version of the truth on the Sage 200 evolution, and then we're going to take a bit of a dive into our cloud offerings, being Evolution Anywhere. So I'm going to hand over to Helen now, and she'll keep you company for the first session.
Morning, everyone. Thank you, Rudy, for that awesome welcome. Yeah, it's great to see you all here this morning, and hopefully I can give you a little sneak preview into Sage 200. Having been a partner lady for 30 years, it was quite a transition for me to go into Sage 200, but there are so many benefits, so it's good to share that with you. Thanks, Leon. Yes, first of all, for those of us who work in Partner or have worked in Partner and in a big network environment with lots of users, the sole access thing is such an irritation. Yes, whenever you're closing VAT returns, whenever you're needing to do any setup changes, to have to ask everyone to log out and get sole access is one of the pet hates of all our users. So with Evolution, it's incredible. You never have to do that. There are also unlimited years, but we'll get into that in more depth soon. All right, other reasons why, you ask the reason why would I move from Partner? It kind of does the job for me. Yeah, it does, but there are reasons why you would move to Sage 200. One of it would be when you've got a lot of users and you're starting to find that you're outgrowing the capability of Partner. You may have complications on your stock that Partner can't cater for, and also needing more automation and customization, because Partner is very, very rigid system. Evolution is a lot more flexible. Thanks, Leon. Okay, so let's dive into some screenshots. This is how I like to present, is to have that you can visually see things, because otherwise it's all words. So I thought I'll give you some screenshots of what Partner's got compared to Evolution. So on each section, we'll look at a Partner screen, and then we'll look at the Evolution screen. So starting here with the years, this is a real frustration on Partner. You only have this year and last year. If you want prior years, you've got to go into copy companies, open them, log in, log out, run your reports. It's really a frustration. Hey, Leon. I'm going to be saying, okay, Leon, a lot here today. All right, here's what evolution is. Unlimited years. Yes, unlimited years. You can have as many years as you like. Doing a year end is as easy as just adding financial year. There's no logout, no sole access, no please make a copy company, run it overnight, spend the weekend doing your year ends. It is such a simple thing. Evolution is date-based. The users never have to put in a period. It automatically allocates the period according to the date that the user has entered. Next. Okay, multi-period processing. On Partner, the user can only be set up to process multi-period or not, and can change the date or not. Whereas on Evolution, keep up, Leon. There is the option to process the users can be blocked or unblocked, and you can set it that like a group of users, for example, you may have your sales department who need to process in the next period, but your purchasing department are still processing in the previous period. And you can block the sales guys to process into the previous period. Whereas on Partner, you can only say yes or no. All right, user rights. A lot of improvements with regards to user rights. On Partner, you're only getting processing options, preferences, and a few menu options. It's not very flexible to give them any more in-depth user rights than that what you see in front of you. On Evolution, you'll see that you can create different user rights per module. You can give different access rights. Every single screen almost, and every single functionality, you can say whether they can add, edit, delete, or if they just have view rights. You can even customize their menu. In Evolution, it works with what we call a tree of a menu, and so you can take off things from their tree, and you can give them just access to the menus that they need. For example, if someone's just doing a sales in the sales department and they just want sales orders, you can even make a shortcut on their desktop that will just take them straight into sales orders. Another frustration on Partner is, the user produces an invoice and they send it out to the client, and they've updated it. So, in Partner, you can't edit anything that's being updated, which is a positive, but also a negative. The auditors like the fact that you can't edit anything. But then there's this frustration that all you want to do is edit a VAT number, or edit the delivery address, or edit maybe it went to the wrong customer within that organization. Sometimes customers have 2 different accounts. So with this, and you have to have admin rights to be able to access this, they've got a utility where you can go and change your documents, and you can put you can change it to another customer. You can change the VAT number. You can even change their order number. Sometimes the client only gives you an order number after they've received the invoice. And then also the rep, you can change the rep as well, because it could have been processed to the wrong one. If you change it, the customer, Evolution has a great functionality called rebuilding balances. And when you rebuild balances, it automatically fixes all balances. So those of you who struggle with Partner and with data integrities and having to get data fixes done for you, this never has to happen on Evolution. There's never any problems with having to have data fixed. Next, Leon. Okay, while we're on the documents, you will see that on Partner, you only have one place that you can put in a sales code. And I've highlighted it there in blue. Yeah, it's a bad choice of color. But the sales code is only on the header. And then you have a lot of users who work in environments like consulting or even in the beauty industry, where you want to be able to have one invoice to your client, but have multiple reps who've done different things for that client. So we have been requesting this for years, to have reps per line. There you will see on Evolution, there is a rep on the header level, but then in the line level, you are able to use a different rep code per line. So it can be that you've invoiced for different services, it can be different stock lines, and you would be able to analyze the sales per line of the documents. Yeah, user-defined fields. This is it was quite brave of me to delve into this because it's really a minefield of what is available on Evolution. On Partner, all you have are like 5 fields for customers, 5 fields for inventory, 5 fields for suppliers. Sometimes it's just a free-form text typing, and sometimes it's a quantity, but it's very inflexible. Evolution. Well, like I said, you can create user-defined fields on every single item there that you see and more. I don't think I could fit them all in on the screen. On headers, on lines, on transactions, on items, master files. One I chose there just to give you an example was on inventory items. You can see there you can add strings, integers, doubles, date, true, false, and lookups. You can also force the value as well to make sure that this particular field is always filled in. And then once you've created this field, you're able to see that on the screen on the module that you're linked it to. So in this case, if I'm editing, you'll see on the right-hand side is adding a new inventory item. There's a tab now for additional fields. In that tab is a drop-down because I use the lookup. I much prefer, well, I mean, we often use other fields, but the lookup is a great option because then you don't have users just free-form typing. People make spelling mistakes. Some people like to type in uppercase. Some people like to type lowercase. So this just keeps your data clean. Thanks, Leon. Okay, inventory. It's also a vast area. The 2 things I'm just focusing on here is on Partner, and sometimes people have codes that are bigger than what Partner allows. So that is a real, one of the reasons why you would choose something like Evolution. The codes are limited to 15 characters. The descriptions are limited to 40, whereas in Evolution, you are limited to 20 characters on your code and 3 descriptions in your, 50 characters on a description, and you've got 3 of them, as you can see. Not only that, if you can look in that screenshot, you also have things like lot numbers, which is a lot tracking module. You have units of measure, and just to touch on units of measure, here you're able to have different units linked to each other with conversions. So you may be, you stock the item in eaches, but you may buy in 6-packs and you may sell in 12s. So you are able to do those conversions, and the system will eliminate those capturing errors, because when capturing a 1 6-pack, it'll automatically convert that to 6 units and put that into stock at 6 units. So it's a really awesome functionality. Thanks, Leon. I hope I'm not rushing through this, but hopefully you're getting the picture of how much change there is. Okay, pricing. Pricing on partner is 10 standard pricings. This is selling price. And then you have customer volume pricing and you have discounts per category and things like that. But on the costing side, you can only have average costing. They do give you the functionality of running the report, your valuation at last cost, but it doesn't mean that it's actually costing your stock on a last cost basis. Whereas Evolution, that can be run average, last cost, or a manual cost system. Okay. With regards to selling prices on Evolution, you can make unlimited amount of selling prices. And these are just giving the prices names. And then once you've given them a name, you can then link them to the stock items. Next screen. And there choose whether it is a fixed price that you are putting in or whether it is a markup price. So this is something Partner does not have, is marking up of prices. And you can mark it up based on your average cost, your latest cost, your lowest cost, highest, or manual. Some clients don't like this because obviously it makes your selling prices live. Very based on the last or the cost that you've just purchased it at. Certain clients want to have annual increases on their price lists and they can't be working on such a fixable price. But there are the clients who want this feature and it doesn't have it on Partner. Okay. Right, purchase orders. On Partner, you sometimes want to capture a purchase to a sales, for example. And then the user goes and this is a purchase, sorry. Purchase you definitely don't want to put to sales. You want to put this to stationery or you want to put it to purchases or cost of sales. But look here how in the screenshot, the user can choose anything. So they end up putting it to sales. Then you have an absolute nightmare trying to balance your VAT return to your sales, to your output and to your sales on your income statement. Okay, next screen. On Evolution, you're able to go to the edit of your ledger accounts and you're able to limit them, that they can only access these items or these ledger accounts on a sales order and only these ledger accounts on a purchase order. It then, when they're actually on the purchase order, you'll only see a drop down of the ledger accounts that the accountant has allowed them to use. And they will also then default to being the VAT that was set by the accountant on those accounts. Okay. Then on the purchase orders, while we're busy with that, if you are buying directly to stationery, for example, is the example I've given you, on Partner, you have to type in the description as, say, for example, 10 pens, and then multiply it on a calculator and type the price in your inclusive price. Whereas on Evolution, you're able to just type in the description of what you're buying. In the quantity, it then opens up 10 and you can put in your price 6 and it multiplies it out. So, obviously this works on stock on both systems, has the quantity, but on Evolution, it also gives you the quantity when you're processing directly to a ledger account, whereas on Partner, that doesn't happen. Then just another thing is sales orders can turn into purchase orders and purchase orders can turn into sales orders. So often we're asked for this. by our partner clients, you're able to open up a prior order and load it as a template. I find this very useful. Sometimes I'm capturing something and I can't remember where did I capture this to last time. So then I'll open up the prior order and I'll use it as a template and then capture it to the next supplier. And if you're on a sales order and you want to see what did I buy, you can open up a purchase order and turn it into a sales order, and vice versa. You may have a customer who's placed an order and now you want to place an order with the supplier using those same stock items. It definitely helps as far as the recapturing or retyping of documents. Yeah, and I could just go on and on with this, but it's a minefield of all the differences that we can do. If you do convert or upgrade from Partner to Evolution, the core system comes with, you'll see those different modules, which is just part of the core. And then there are 3 extra modules that come with, which is annuity billing, pricing matrix, CRM, credit risk, and bank manager. And on the annuity billing, that is quite a lot more enhanced than the recurring options on Partner. We also have a conversion tool which we use where we convert your data from Partner to Evolution. We normally do this and you get 5 years history immediately on your Evolution. Trial balances in one database for 5 years, income statements, history on your ledgers, with regards to stock and to inventory history and to the document history, that we normally give it to you in a reporting format, but we import the master files. And so it's a go quite quickly from moving from Partner to Evolution. I do want to emphasize that when you do choose or decide to move from an older system to, for example, the Partner to Evolution, it's important to budget for the move, and it's important to plan and to make sure you get the right partner, business partner on board. Of course, that's us. And then to invest in it. Don't just think it's going to be a plug and play. You're not going to get the best out of your system if you do just think it's going to happen automatically. You must plan it. You must train your staff. You must make sure that it's implemented properly. Yeah, so I mean, this is just emphasizing what I've just done. It streamlines you streamline your process to improve employee efficiency. You improve service delivery, which leads to increased customer satisfaction, and you get analytics which can help you make more profitable decisions. That's for why you want to implement a more enhanced system. And then if you don't implement properly, like I said, the system won't be used properly. You will lack internal buy-in. The users will kick back at you, and you're just going to limit your growth potential. Okay.
Helen, thank you so much for that. It was a bit of a mouthful, but I think that's just to illustrate the vast difference between a Pastel Partner and Sage 200 Evolution. Just before I carry on, I just want to focus everybody's attention. There is a Q&A button at the top of the ribbon of your Teams for any questions, anytime. Please use the Q&A. We're going to get to a Q&A session at the end, and then we're going to answer those questions. So just make a note of that. If you've got a question, please put it under the Q&A. Coming back to our session, I think before I carry on, I just want to say as well, if you look at what a partner can do and what a Sage 200 Evolution can do, I think the important thing to note is that Sage 200 Evolution is clearly not partner on steroids. It's a proper ERP system for your business. And I'm going to touch on some other functionalities, but Ellen, I mean, thank you so much for everything that you've highlighted, and coming to some additional functionality on the Sage 200 system, additional fields on GL, just the master file. You've got fields like departments and branches that you can populate, and those all come down to when I start reporting on my financials. I can then start slicing and dicing by department or by a branch without changing anything else on the system. I still have my normal GL structure. I'm just reporting in a different way. And when you start getting information out in different dimensions, that's when you're starting to look at different sections of the business and for different purposes and making those informed decisions. We also have segmented GL, which is also part of the core of Sage 200 or Evolution. The segmented GL gives me the ability, as we all that are used to partner, your main account and you've got a sub-account structure. With the segmented general ledger in Sage 200, we actually have got the ability to go and expand on that. So I can have a main account number, I can have a segment for a branch, I can have another segment for a division, and then I can still have a segment for my sub-accounts. So it just opens up reporting opportunities so much wider than what I've got access to in a Pastel Partner system. And the same applies to stock. I still believe less is always more, but if you really have the need for segmented stock, and segmented stock, the easiest way to explain it is if I've got an item code for a shirt, I can then go and set up a segment and I can call it sizes, and I can have small, medium, large. I can have a segment for colors. I can have a segment, is this a men's or a women's shirt? At the end of the day, when I start reporting on all my sales, I can say, give me everything I've sold that's blue, regardless if it's a male or a female shirt, regardless if it's a shirt or a pair of pants or a trousers or a jacket, or you can start diving down. I want to see sales extra larges compared to larges that I've sold. So those kind of information tidbits that you can get out of the system gives you the ability to start planning ahead. What do I need to order more from? And that just makes sense in the way that we set up our segmented stock, as opposed to having a single item code for every single permutation. You start using segments to drill down those various stock item codes. And then the user-defined fields that Ellen has touched on, I think the importance of those is you can create them on master files, you can create them on transaction levels, on headers, on lines, etc. But the power of that in capturing information on the system, and this brings us back to the theme of one version of the truth. You want all the information that you ever want to know about your business in one place. And with user-defined fields, it gives us the ability to start tracking not only financial information, but also operational information. There are examples of clients that we've used where they're in the tanker business. I'm capturing the driver. I'm capturing the amount of kilometers they travel. We're capturing the pickup points, the drop-off points for the fuel. The different slip numbers that every time they pump out, the log sheet numbers for those trips. And then we started generating reports from that to say, well, when we need to do wages, it's a click of a button, we generate a report, and I can tell you exactly how many kilometers each driver did, how many trips he did, and wages are then paid, and obviously incentives on that. And the same with those slip numbers every time they pump out fuel. If there's a slip number missing, the report is flagging that and say, hang on, why do I have slip 1 and slip 5 but not slip 4, for instance? So the power of using user-defined fields to capture information in the system, is the sky is literally the limit. And because of the fact that I can define what that field should be, I can determine and control the information that goes into the system. So looking at the next slide, there are some additional modules, and I mean, Ellen has touched on what the core modules of the system is or are, but the additional modules that we've got on a Sage 200 system that you don't have access to on a Pastel Partner system. For instance, the service manager. Service manager builds up a service history of a service asset, and that might be a vehicle, that might be a one of these commercial printers, whatever it might be. Every time I service that asset, every time I repair that asset, or you want to, there might be damages that you need to repair or replace. All of those costs becomes part of that service history on that service asset, and obviously I can keep track of that, as well as the fact that it opens up a job card for me on that service item, and whatever was done, I can then have the history of that going back to wherever my data in my system is. And I think that kind of pulls back to what Dylan was referring to with unlimited financial years, and the opportunity it creates for me to have it all in one place, keeping to that one version of the truth theme. Expedite is our advanced manufacturing, job costing. Sorry, job costing is our literally our job card module. The beauty of the job card is that becomes the core of that transaction. I can quote off a job card, I can order off a job card, I can load items onto a job card. It can be labor, it can be buyout items, it can be normal general ledger expenses. All of those costs become part of the cost of that specific job. And with the job costing functionality, it gives me the opportunity to go and budget, i.e. I've quoted, and this is what I'm expecting to get in on this job. This is what the client will pay. But then keeping track of the cost on the other hand to ultimately go and determine what is the profitability of the specific job that I've done. Even though I might be doing the same type of job for various customers, I've got a profitability value on each and every single job I've done for a customer. If I need to go and have additional courier charges because a customer needs this by Friday, not next week, Wednesday, that charge will become part of that specific job's cost, and that will obviously have an impact on my profitability for this job as opposed to the job that I'm busy with for another customer. Then the retail point of sale, I'm just quickly going to touch on that. We've got the point of sale module in Partner. We've got what we used to call the old POS in Evolution. But with the retail point of sale, the guys have done and made the whole process so much easier from the front end. I mean, we're talking about refunds, we're talking about sales, we're talking about on-account cash sale, we're talking about jumping from a cash sale invoice to an on-account invoice without having to recapture all the information. Processing a refund and then carrying on with that sale, i.e. a customer brought back an item, I'm giving him credit of 100 Rand, but now he's buying another 300 Rands worth of stock, which means I'm only going to charge them the balance of the 200 Rand. That kind of functionality is built into the system. And then obviously the controls with regards to your cash ups, which by the way is a blind cash up. Only the supervisor will then at the end of the day be able to see where the overs and unders are. But I think there's a lot of development that went into the retail POS to make the front end as easy as possible. And for lack of a better description, I'm going to venture and say it might even be dummy proof. Coming back to our multi-warehousing module, now we all know multi-warehousing, and for those that don't know multi-warehousing, it's literally if I've got a total quantity of a stock item in my system, for argument's sake 100, multi-warehousing will be able to tell me where those 100 items are. I've got 20 of them in my storefront and I've got 80 of them in my warehouse down the road, for instance. The benefit of multi-warehousing comes in where you start tracking stock in various locations, but I can also add costing per warehouse. I can add different group setups per warehouse, which means if I'm selling out of my Joburg warehouse, that sale will go to sales Joburg. If I sell out of my Midrand warehouse, it will go to sales Midrand. And if I sell out of my Pretoria warehouse, it will obviously go to sales Pretoria. And that's on a single item where I can actually set up and all of these settings. And I think this is what makes Sage 200 so powerful as well, is you determine those settings per item. It's not a global setting. And that's where Helen also touched on, even with the user profiles, etc., where the setup becomes so much more granular, giving you more control over what a user can and can't do and where the information ends up or not at the end of the day. So moving on to the next slide. We also have some third-party integrations that integrate seamlessly into the Sage 200 system. And this is also... and I'm going to reiterate what Helen said with regards to our partner being a rigid system, and Evolution kind of gives us that room to move in because of the way that we set it up. And I think that kind of boils down from the fact where we've got the SQL database sitting at the back of Evolution, and we've got the old pervasive database sitting at the back of Partner. But with our third-party software, the integration becomes seamless and it becomes live as well. There's no exports and imports that need to happen. And Neurosoft Fusion is a procurement module that has taken the procurement functionality in Evolution just to a next step, where I can have different procurement workflows. For argument's sake, if I want to go and buy stationery, there's a certain steps to follow, certain people that need to approve stationery, and those people might be different to when I'm going out and buying cleaning materials, or paying normal office expenses, or procuring stock for that matter. So with your procurement system, it gives me the ability to set up multiple workflows. It gives me the ability to set up multiple thresholds in those workflows. Any order above or below 20,000 Rand, Joe can approve, but if it's above 20,000 Rand, then Peter needs to approve it. But if it's a stationary workout, anything below 1,000 Rand is what Joe can approve, and anything above 1,000 Rand is what Peter needs to approve. So it gives you that ability to go and determine what is relevant in each one of those workflows from a value perspective, as well as from the steps that needs to include. Once that purchase order has been approved, then it can be sent out to my supplier. At that point in time, that purchase order gets created in my Sage 200 system, and the normal process flow of goods coming in, and I'll produce a GRV, obviously a supplier invoice, and then payment happens. All of that happening in the Sage 200 system. Touching just quickly on budgets, with the procurement, it even looks at what has been budgeted on those accounts. And with Fusion, it will give you what the budget is for per month, and it will keep track of how far into that month's budget you're already in. And it will also have a look at a year-to-date budget. So if I haven't spent anything in January and February, but my budget is 2,000 Rand a month, for argument's sake, and I need to go and do a March purchase order of 5,000 Rand, it will show me that I'm exceeding my March monthly budget, but it will show me that I'm still within my year-to-date budget. And what's important to note about the Neurosoft Fusion procurement module is that it also keeps track of committed costs. If a purchase order has already been approved, but not yet received, i.e. there's no GRV, there's no financial impact yet on my Sage system, it will still take that into account, calculating what the budget is left. So I've already spent 10,000 Rand, I've approved a PO of 5,000 Rand, and my budget is only 20. It will show me that there's 5,000 Rand left on the budget, as opposed to the fact that I've only got 10,000 Rands worth of cost in my system. It knows that 5,000 Rand has been approved, that order has been sent, and that cost will have to be paid. Expedite is the advanced procurement module. Now, when you think about bill of materials, manufacturing, not the procurement module, the manufacturing module. If you think about a bomb, a recipe, I'm taking 4 chairs and I'm putting a table with it, and I'm selling this as a dining room suite. Expedite takes that literally, I think probably about 5 levels up. We start talking about yields. In other words, where's wastage in your system, the different work centers throughout that manufacturing process. And we can even give you the planning. And this kind of ties into capacity planning, where if I've got capacity to do 1,000 of an item a week, and I've got 4 orders, you need to start planning on what you're going to do when what will happen and when it will be done. But it also then start looking at what you're busy with, at what stage it is. And if I'm going to use my example of my dining room suite, I can sand the chairs while I'm varnishing the table, but I cannot varnish the chairs while I'm still sanding the chairs. And that's how you can start planning your manufacturing process into a structured order, making sure that everybody in your business knows what the next step is, and even adding those transactions to each step in your works order, so that they know what to mix, what to put in, what to go and draw. And obviously with the Expedite system sitting on top of your Sage 200, it reads the information from your Sage 200 database. It knows the quantities you've got. It knows the purchase orders that you've placed. It knows the sales orders that's in the system. It knows what I currently have in terms of raw materials, work in progress, and my finished product. And it will then go and determine an accurate MRP, material resource planning report, so that I know what to order and when to order that. Because if I have got an order for 4,000, but I can only produce 1,000, I'm not going to buy all the raw materials for 4,000 items in week 1. And the system can then guide me through those ordering processes to make sure that I've got stock on time and I'm not unnecessarily burning cash flow in the wrong time of the month. If we look at Granite, our warehouse management system, again, another module that ties seamlessly into our Sage 200 system, that takes the multi-warehousing functionality and start adding value in terms of what the value of my stock, where in the warehouse. I can start using scanners, getting stock into a warehouse, getting stock out of the warehouse, and even moving stock between various bins within a specific warehouse. So Granite is a very powerful system. If I start looking at stock and I need to know where it is, what the expiry dates are, maybe using lot number trackings or even serial numbers, where those items are in my warehouse, and that's where Granite will start giving you those answers. E-commerce integration, online store integration. I mean, there's obviously a whole array of solutions around that, and we know that even with Pastel Partner we can do e-commerce integration. But when you start looking at putting a Sage 200 database in the back end of the e-commerce integration, and the functionality that Helen has touched on with regards to our codes, the various descriptions, the user-defined fields, even the costing and the selling price methods. And just quickly touching on the selling price and that pricing matrix and the amount of price lists. I mean, I literally can go and decide which price list I need to go and publish where on that website for which products. Do I need to show the customer on that website whether I've got the specific item in stock or not? There might be different specials that you're running for a certain time period. All of that is now being controlled through my Sage 200 system, and the e-commerce integration will then go and read those rules and conditions up and publish on the website what I needed to publish in order for my customers to find the item, know whether it's in stock and what the pricing is, and place those orders, which again then comes back into my Sage 200 system as a sales order, and my internal processes then again kicks in terms of putting the stock, packing, delivering, and sending out invoicing and receiving, and obviously allocating that to payments. So these are modules that are very powerful, and these are also modules that seamlessly integrate into our Sage 200 system, which is why we've got a few customers running with them. Coming to our reporting side of things, and I think we're all used to the normal income statement, balance sheet, trial balance, etc. But there are so much more reports that I can get out of the system just as standard reports. When we start looking at stock and sales and functionality, but those reports aren't always what I would need in my business for my specific process or for my specific purpose. And with the use of our Sage Intelligence Center in the system, and some of you have already heard the Power BI buzzword, etc. All of that information sits in one database now, because we're aiming for that one version of the truth, and we can produce the reports from there, and we can slice and dice those reports by time frames, by customers, by areas, by reps, by stock groups, by stock categories, by stock types. It doesn't matter. And maybe I want to go start comparing on different time frames or different products in different areas. That information is in the database. We just need to pull it out. So the golden rule is, if the info is in the database, we can report on that, and we can literally have access to all the functionality. And we're all used to an Excel platform, which is brilliant as an output. And because we've got that information in the system, as I said, we can start creating marvelous Excel spreadsheets, which can be scheduled to run on specific times, scheduled to invoice, after you email out to various agents or users or groups of users. Imagine getting your sales report every Monday morning in my inbox without me having to find out from my sales guys where they're at with their targets, with their sales, what does the pipeline look like, etc. And those are just normal reports that we can beep up, but there are literally so much more we can do, in the sky is the limit. I think for now, that concludes my session on the product of Sage 200 Evolution. Again, just quickly, if there are any questions, anything you need to know, anything you need more information on, use that Q&A button at the top. We're going to jump into session 3 now. Right. I think that kind of is clear that it might not always be as easy to put the data in the cloud if you're doing it wrong. But cloud is definitely, it's a fact in our current business environment. It's a fact in our current ecosystem. The cloud is there and the cloud is the future. And I think the question that we need to answer is, what is the best way to get it into the cloud? Now, with Evolution Anywhere, which I'm going to take you through now, we'll have a look at how we can do that with something like a Sage Evolution 200 product, which is a function-full product. It's still a desktop product. How am I going to get that data into the cloud without moving to another product and going through the whole implementation and the restructuring and the retraining of my business as well? So if we look at something like an Evolution Anywhere, which is our solution to, and I'm going to coin this phrase, cloudify your system. You're still running Sage 200 off your local laptop. You're still having your local machine with your local email, with your local printer drivers, and your local Excel, etc. But I can take that data off my on-prem server. Now, keeping in mind that the advantage of going cloud with this is you don't have a server in your office anymore. You don't have to maintain that server anymore, and you don't have to pay the licensing fees and the Windows licensing and the, if you need to access that from various branches. Sometimes I've got a head office and I've got these various branches coming into a head office environment. Even in that instance, having one centralized server, Evolution Anywhere can connect your outside branches to that, or we can take that server and we can stick it in the cloud. And having a quick look at how we can actually do that through Evolution Anywhere. There's obviously a server in the cloud, but between that server and my workstations sits the internet. And in that internet, there's an Evolution Anywhere controller. And that controller manages those connections, making sure that the right workstations connect to the right server, making sure that information is secure, that information is encrypted. It's built into little packets of data, which gets sent through the internet at burst speeds. And that's where we get the speed advantage from Evolution Anywhere in as well. So if you're happy with logging onto an internet banking site or through an online internet app on your phone for your bank, we've got that same kind of security set up in the way the data gets transferred. I can also tell you that with Evolution Anywhere, it communicates, and I don't want to get technical on you, but it communicates through dynamic ports. And all that means is that a port is that door that gives access into a server. And because it's dynamic, it means that that port keeps on changing. So those connections never stay on the same static port on the system, which means that if somebody, by chance, find a port number on the system, by the time they try to get through that port, the port's already changed and that connection is sitting on another port. And that is why our data on Evolution Anywhere, which, by the way, this product has been around for 10 plus years now, has never been hacked, has never been cracked, and has never been exposed to anybody outside of a business network. So the data security is there. A quick look at how we set that up. This is the screen that you will ultimately get. This a little app that sits on your server. There's the same app that sits on your workstation, and you will then go and set up a server on the one end, a workstation on the other end, an access key and a password will be generated, and our controller sitting in the cloud will then go and make sure that those workstations see the data on that server. Keeping in mind, we're talking about cloud, we're talking about space in the cloud, we're talking about processing resources in the cloud. And what that ultimately means is that if I need more RAM, we upgrade that basically almost immediately. If you need to add users onto the system, if you need to, add different databases or databases to your system, as long as you've got enough cloud space, you can have as many databases, and it's about the connections. And ultimately, with the cloud, we're saving costs in terms of physical hardware infrastructure that we need to maintain and upgrade on a frequent basis. And these days, with the way that technology just keeps on going, we all know that it's anything between 3 and 5 years that you need to start looking at replacing a server and licensing and the enhancements in software, etc. And even with those costs, we can easily move into a cloud environment. We can take the headache out of the business, and we can even save you literally time and money in terms of your connection to your financial data. We've got many success stories running on our Evolution Anywhere. The one that I'm quickly thinking of, we've got a client, we're talking about 90 users, database sitting in the cloud across multiple databases, users working from Cape Town, from Joburg, from Kenya, from Mauritius, from Ghana, Uganda, Nigeria, in these databases running with all the bells and whistles, multi-currency, serial number tracking, multi-warehousing, Sage Intelligence, as well as Power BI reports off of their cloud server. So that is what we can offer you in terms of solution going to the cloud. And the nice thing about our Evolution Anywhere offering is we've got many 1, 2, 3 user sites that have taken their data into the cloud without having to go and procure their own online server, set up their own remote desktop connections, paying the Microsoft CALs and the licensing to get access to that information through our different pricing points. So please, if you are interested in the Evolution Anywhere, let us know. We're happy to assist you and give you those pricing points as well. I think thank you again from my side and from Helen's side and my team for joining us and giving us this time this morning. I'm going to open up the floor a bit now, and let's have a look if there are some questions in our Q&A session that we can answer, even if it's related to whatever product you're on, whatever situation. If you're just thinking of getting an opinion on an idea, please let us know. Let's see how we can help you. So I'm gonna open up the floor and give us a few minutes to post those questions. Gabby, I see you've got a question with regards to the bank manager. My team will definitely will get in contact with you and explain, but bank manager is now included in the Evolution subscription pricing. I just want to have a look. Is there any other questions coming through? I truly hope that we've given everybody at least something to go back to the office and think about and discuss. And please, you're more than welcome. If you want to open up a channel of communication, send us an email, send us a message, and we'll definitely get in contact with you. And let's come and have those discussions, even if it's just a quick chat. Come and have a look at my site. Let's see the way that you work. Let's see where we can add value and add benefit to you as a business owner. All right, got another question in terms of the cost difference between a partner and a Sage 200. Tanya, I'm going to definitely say that depends a lot on the modules and the user count that you've got. But the good news is that if we had to answer that question 10 years ago, that would have been a huge difference between the cost. But with the way that Sage has structured their subscription model, that pricing difference has come down quite a lot from where we used to be with a Sage Evolution pricing compared to partner. It's not, that gap is definitely not as big as you think. So we'll happily get in touch with you, and we can give you a comparative quote on moving from a partner to a Sage 200 system. We've just paid our partner license fee for next year. Now, keeping in mind that we've been around the block many years, we've got a great relationship with Sage. So in terms of that, where Sage will come to the party is they'll definitely discount our what we call our migration from partner to the Sage 200 system. So don't worry, the money that you've paid on your partner license fee will definitely get you the benefit of that in an upgrade deal with Sage. All right, and I've got another inquiry on pricing. Desiree will definitely get in touch with you and get your details to be able to give you an accurate upgrade quote. All right, and then I've got another question, sign pad integration. How can we use the sign pad on Evolution for customers to digitally sign picking slips and sales orders? Werner will get in touch with you with regards to the middleware that we can use, and again, it depends on the hardware. But if you're already running on the Sage Evolution 200 system, let's see how we can put those together and give you access to that. There are a few options out there. There are definitely third-party solutions that we use with regards to scanners and devices like that to integrate that into your Sage database, and that's a very cool way of getting the customer to sign that proof of delivery and making sure that he's responsible for that invoice at the end of the month. Stock valued in different warehouses. All right, that question came in a little bit earlier. So depending on the way that you set up your Sage 200 system, you can determine the system to do a costing as a global cost on that specific item, or I can come down and say, listen, I need a cost per warehouse. And what that means is whatever you buy the item on into that specific warehouse, that will become the cost for that item in that warehouse. When I do warehouse transfers, or IBTs is another way of doing that, inter-branch transfers, the system gives you the option to go and apply an additional cost. So I'm moving a 10 Rand item, but by the time it lands from Bloemfontein into Joburg, it now becomes a 12 Rand costing item because of additional cost that I want to add on to that. So again, coming back to the fact that I can set up Evolution how I need it to run in those processes. So that depends on your requirements. Could we clarify with Pastel Partner, or do we need to upgrade to Sage Evolution? All right, it's a very good question. I think with Pastel Partner, as the solutions currently stand in the market, some clients have gotten that right through the use of a remote desktop session. The difference with that is that the cost of your cloud server with the remote desktop licensing fees attached to that, it sometimes doesn't really make sense when I put that into rands and cents. But with the pricing points that we've got with an Evolution anyway, hence I've got clients that are literally 1, 2, and 3 users on Evolution that's got their data up in the cloud, as opposed to having to go and procure their own service. So again, maybe come talk to us. The name I've got is Mahat Investments. Please let us know, and then we'll definitely, we can give you comparative quotes. We can give you quotes on both options. What I'm saying is that the partner side is a little bit more costly to host in the cloud than what we can do with something like an Evolution anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, have I answered all the questions? I hope. If there are any questions that still come in, or that you still think of when you're back at the office, having a coffee, renovating, or thinking about all the information that was shared, you're more than welcome to pop us an email, and somebody will get in touch with you and we'll answer those questions. Yeah, I think we've answered all of them.
Really, there's just a question about the agent manager. What is the difference between the tick and the full square?
Oh, okay. On the user profile setup. All right, that's a very good question. So again, it just kind of applies to how I can use the agent profile so much more effectively. If it's a square, it means that that setting will look at what the group setup is, if what the group that agent is linked to. If it's a tick, doesn't matter what the group setup is, it will override that and still give access to that agent. And if it's a blank box, obviously it means that agent doesn't have any access to it regardless of the group. So if you think about something like, I've got a debtors clerk group and I've got 4 agents in that group. These agents can, for instance, allocate payments to invoices, but I'm going to give my senior agent access and say, but you can unallocate payments. So on a group level, nobody can unallocate a payment, but for that specific user, I would then take the box and make it a tick giving that specific agent the access to unallocate, even though the group setup is not to be able to allocate, to unallocate that payment. So again, you can set up on a group level, but with the ticks and the box and the unticks, it gives me access to personalize a user even further, regardless of the profile setup of the, or not regardless, additional to the profile setup of their groups. Right. Sorry. Thanks, Helen. I missed that one.
And then just from Mehmet, would Sage Evolution replace Sage Payroll? No, Charmaine. I don't know if that's you there, Charmaine. Sage Payroll is a different system. Sage Evolution is accounting. Sage Payroll would stay Sage Payroll. But yeah, we can chat about it. I'll give you a call to discuss it.
All right. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for taking the time to be part of this webinar. We wish you a wonderful day and the rest of the week, and very successful many years in your businesses to come. Thank you so much.